Opening weekend at Del Mar where the turf meets the surf. And on Saturday, it's the Osunitas, a restricted stakes at a flat mile on turf for fillies and mares 3 and up. And it attracted 9 runners. And then it's the Grade 2 San Diego handicap, a stepping stone to the Pacific Classic. This will be run at a mile and a 16th on the main track. And it also attracted 9 runners. I'll analyze both of those for you coming up next on Thoroughbred Ticket.
Welcome to Thoroughbred Ticket, into the world of thoroughbred horse racing, into a world of inside information and handicapping style geared towards making a winning day at the races worldly possible. And now, here's your host of Thoroughbred Ticket, Mr. Kenneth Anthony Moultrie.
Welcome to Thoroughbred Ticket, and I am your host, Kenneth Moultrie, on this opening weekend at both Saratoga and Del Mar. But on today's episode, I'm going to have 2 stake races I'm going to handicap for you. It's the restricted Osunitas, as I said in my opening, at a flat mile on grass for 3-year-old fillies and up. And then it's the Grade 2 San Diego handicap, which is also a stepping stone, as you know, for the Grade 1 Pacific Classic. And the San Diego will be run at a mile and a 16th on the main track. Now, as far as the Osunitas is concerned, I remember a while ago, there was a horse when I first started going to Del Mar. This was, it was some years after I started going, but the Osunitas, to me, should be a graded race. Probably a Grade 2 in my opinion. Now that also, depends upon, the star quality it attracts, how horses who've run in that particular race and who have won that particular race have fared in stake races going forward. So, it was a restricted, non-graded race back in 1991 when this brilliant mare named Kostroma, who was an Irish-bred horse, Kent DeSormo used to ride her for the late Gary Jones, and this horse had the best turn of foot of any grass horse that I'd seen, and the only horse that had the same turn of foot that Kostroma had later on was Lady Eli. So, but Kostroma, and most times horses you're gonna identify with horses on the turf who have a turn of foot more than you do on the grass, because on turf, the races are run kind of slow early and fast late, and on the dirt, they're kind of fast early and slower late. So that's where you're going to get the turn of foot. And Kostroma, she was a beast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to tell you. She won the 1991 edition of the Osunitas, and I can remember that race in my head. This the big move that she made, and that's what stamped her as going forward to saying, God, did you see that horse that Kent was on, that Trevor made this big call, and she just ran by the whole field when she won that edition of the Osunitas back in 1991. She went on to Santa Anita and won the prestigious Yellow Ribbon. It was held at Santa Anita in those days. And then she won the Las Palmas handicap at Santa Anita at a mile and an 1/8. Now I'm getting ready to tell you something, so just kind of wrap your arms around what I'm getting ready to say here. Kostroma won the 1992 Las Palmas at Santa Anita, a mile and an 1/8 on turf, in a world record time of 1:43 and 4/5 seconds. 1:43 for a mile and an 1/8. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Santa Anita had a carpet-like turf then and sort of now, but still in all, it wasn't as carpet-like as people may think. She was a beast. She also went to Arlington and won the Beverly D, which is run on Arlington Million Day. That is one of the most prestigious turf events for fillies and mares in the entire country. She also won the Dahlia at Hollywood Park. Daria was a great turf runner herself. I remember Shoemaker used to ride her. But anyway, that's turned into a stake, and Kostroma won that. She also won the Wilshire. You all might think it's called the Wilshire, but it's the Wilshire at Hollywood Park. So she was a beast. And when I saw that this race was coming up, like it does every year, pretty much on opening weekend, that's the first thing that comes in my mind is Kostroma. I can just remember just Trevor, just those 4 feet, just gearing into action when she turned for home. She always ran about 3rd or 4th, and when she turned for home, she was like a cannon. I don't know if she's in the Hall of Fame. She was 12 for 26 lifetime. She had 2 seconds and 3/3 before. I can't remember if that's when she came over here from Ireland, because she raced in Ireland first. But when she was in the United States, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you she was a beast. So on to the 2021 version of the Osunitas. It's like I said, it's going to be running the flat mile on turf. 9 are signed up. Always at Del Mar, you're looking at fast and firm. So, you can probably you can just bank it that it's going to be a nice firm turf course tomorrow. And then the San Diego will be run on a nice fast track. So starting with the one Heather's Gray, this 5-year-old mare will be ridden by Tyler Bays, and she's trained by Sean McCarthy. And one thing that I noticed when I was handicapping and going over in the racing form with this particular field, Del Mar does now have 2 meets, and used to have just one long time ago before it took over the Hollywood Winter Meet with the Bing Crosby meet. You wouldn't see as many runners have Del Mar form, whether it be on grass or on the main track. Here in this particular race, ladies and gentlemen, there are 7 of the 9 runners have Del Mar turf form. So to me, this makes it a very, very tough race. And this is probably the toughest race to me on the card. Now, perennial leading rider Flavian Pratt is out of town. He's riding at Monmouth on Haskell Day, and he's there with some other riders and whatnot. But you still have, the main colony here. So that's going to look like it's going to juggle. Flavian was riding horses the last time out that he would probably be on horses today at Del Mar. But, like I say, he's out of town. And so you're going to have to figure out, if you're one of those who likes to try to play the musical jockey chairs and whatnot. So Heather Gray does have 2 seconds. He has 3 starts on Del Mar's turf. She does. And she doesn't have a win, but she has 2 seconds and a third. And like I say, Tyler's going to take over here. Now, John Sadler, who Tyler Bays rides a lot for, has the 7 Candura, who I will get to later. But Tyler ends up here. And as far as the racing form, past performances show, they don't show Tyler on any horse for Gray's Heather's Gray. What is wrong with me? In other words, let me say that again. It does not show that Tyler Bays has ridden Heather's Gray in the past. Looking at the trainer combination with Sean McCarthy, Tyler is 5 starts, no wins. So it's not like, I'm thinking that maybe there's something in the background that put Tyler on this horse. But Tyler seems to like this horse. It fits Tyler's style. She does have speed. Like I say, she draws the rail. She came out of a very tough grade 2 Buena Vista at Santa Anita, where the winner came back to win. There's another horse in here who also exited that race. So that may prove to be a very tough and productive race. She's basically running for 62 optional claimers, where she's basically second, third, somewhere, she runs kind of up near the pack, second or third. A couple of races, it looked like when Jennifer Pfeiffer rode her at Del Mar last year, she moved maybe a little early, drew off by a length and a half in the stretch, and then was caught on the wire and missed by 3/4. Nevertheless, a good race there. She received a 91 buyer for that race. Her other Del Mar races, an 86 buyer, where she finished third at a flat mile and a 135. So at 12-1 on the morning line, this is good value. You're getting Tyler Bays. Like I said, Tyler's going to put a little more speed into her, you might imagine. She has she has Del Mar Pass, and I think that, she is a major player in tomorrow's Osunitas. The number 2 horse is Sylmar. trained by Shelby Ruiz, and J.J. Hernandez will ride. Now, J.J. Hernandez is probably, in my opinion, going to vie for the riding title here with Flavien Prat and Umberto Ruspoli. And, J.J. is really improving. He came up from Golden Gate Fields up north, and he came down to Southern California, and he's turning into a wonderful turf rider. So don't be missed or lacking confidence if you're looking at J.J. Hernandez on the turf, because he can also ride really, really good on the main track. But here, this horse, this mare is 3 for 7 at Del Mar on the turf, 6 of 7 in the money, 2 seconds in the third. Ran in this race last year, the Osunitas, and finished fourth with Brice Blanc on her. Then was bet at about 4-1. Kind of ran an even race, and then kind of stuck with her own company. She's a Calbred. She stuck with the restricted company coming in Solano Beach. The next race, just missed by a nose at that time, and then she ran in another restricted race, the Swing Time. Ran an even race, finished by 4, only missed by a length and 3/4. And then she was thrown kind of, if you want to say, into grade 3 company, but she was bet at 7-2. So, it was only 4 horses in the race. So you would imagine that if there was a larger field after those plotting results in the restricted company, if there was 9 or 10 or 11 horses in that grade 3, the megahertz at Santa Anita, she would have been double-digit odds. But nevertheless, she was 7-2, and she only missed by 3/4 of a length. In a more contentious graded event was the Buena Vista I talked about. There were 9 runners, and she was 25-1. That's more like her odds in a grade 2 and a grade 3, and she pretty much finished up the track. But 3 for 7, 6 for 7 in the money at Del Mar. I would say that you have to use, if you're using in a pick 4 or pick 3, you have to include her. Like I said, there are a number of runners with good Del Mar form, but she is really going to be a player I think that you have to use in the Osunitas. The number 3 horse is Nasty, not in the way she runs or her results. That is actually her name, Nasty, and she will be ridden by Ricardo Gonzalez, and she is trained by Richard Baltis. Now, she only has one Del Mar race on the turf. It was an optional claimer during the Bing Crosby meet in November of 2020. She was the 65 favorite. Irad Ortiz was in town that particular weekend. He had her, finished the even 5th, only missed by 4 3/4 lengths. And like I said, and then won the Lady Shamrock out last time, beating the number 2 horse, or beating a couple of horses in this race, this particular race in the Lady Shamrock. But anyway, Nasty stopped the clock in 1:34-1 at Santa Anita, going wire to wire, beating 9 runners. So even though that one Del Mar race was off, she was the favorite. Looking at the trouble line for Nasty, it said pulled early, angle. So she was probably a little rank. She did not have blinkers on. So, I don't know, maybe, coming from the inside, a lot of horses are keen. They get around the turn. They kind of pull back a little bit to get position. And it looks like that this filly, 4-year-old filly by Street Sense, was ranked that particular day. Anyway, she came up empty. And then subsequently, that made her odds increase, especially stepping up in a stakes company. But then she ended up winning, getting an 88 buyer. Ricardo Gonzalez rode her then, and now he's back on her after Trevor McCarthy took over in the grade 2 Monrovia, where she was basically up the track, but was kind of bet. She took a little money at 5-1 with 8 horses in the field. So the number 3 Nasty. You can see that, this can be a player. I'm going to pass on Nasty myself. But, yeah, this is something you can look at. This is probably a race where, 9 runners, you may have to use, 5 runners here just to feel comfortable, because it is a very contentious race here. The number 4, Tapwater, is the next runner I'm going to talk about. Now, Tapwater is going to be my choice here. Taproot has a win in 3 starts on Del Mar turf and 1 second. She's exiting the grade 2 Royal Heron and the grade